Good day, my name's Graham and I'm your average thick-headed Yorkshireman, and I'm living down here in Australia watching the world go quite mad. We no longer have governments that are having any use to the people anymore. They're only used to the corporations. Well, I've got them on puppet strings telling them what to do. One of those corporations is the EU. Whatever it is, it's very interesting that I haven't been to Paris. I respect the fact that it's a fabulous city. It's got the most renowned, possibly the most renowned city in the world for its beauty and sophistication. And I'd like to know, very interesting this, what is the motive behind the EU committee, the gang, whatever these people are, this dictatorship? Whatever it is, what's motivating it to destroy London with immigrants, to destroy Paris with immigrants, to destroy the major civic centres, what make the West what it's renowned for, these fabulous cities, built up over hundreds and hundreds of years, thousands of years some of them, are now being eroded in their immunity and sophistication by the massive migration of people who simply don't not fit in those cities. Regardless, and that's not a racist statement, it's actually a statement of fact. It takes time to adapt to living in a sophisticated environment like Paris or London. And yet, the EU has it that you're racist and full of hate speech if you don't want endless and countless, endless, uncontrolled numbers of people who can't speak English, can't be employed, flooding into a place like Paris, and basically therefore loses its attractiveness as a place to visit for anyone. It may be there's some enclaves in there, and the fancier end of the street and the end of the town no doubt will be still exclusive, but the rest of the place, as they get more and more of these immigrants coming into it, it certainly disposes the place from what we imagine. We don't imagine, I know nothing against people from anywhere, but we do not imagine when we go to Beijing, for instance, or Tokyo, that it's going to be full of people from another place. We don't imagine that. We do not imagine that those places in China or Japan will have its place flooded with immigrants, because these people have got enough respect for their own history and for themselves to control the immigration into their countries. And yet the UN and the EU are not saying to the Chinese, oh, you're full of hate speech. No, the Chinese have to raise my hat at them. They're patriotic, nationalistic, and looking after their own and protecting their own people from an invasion of immigration. Yet people in Europe are not allowed to say, we don't want this immigration. The thing is, though, you have to say, ask yourself, what is the motivation of the all? And it has to be retribution, it has to be revenge. It's not creative. There's not one iota of creativity within the EU body of EU governing bodies. This is the thing you notice about it. It's good at making lots and lots of rules up to control people, and it's because it's not inventive. They're not creative people. They're just bureaucrats. They're not artistically or scientifically creative in any positive or progressive or pragmatic sense, which the Chinese are. All the world not the Chinese, but I've got a greatest respect for them because of that. They're positively, practically and pragmatically developing their country for the benefit of its people, which then benefits the whole world. Yet the rest of the world is expected to be recessive, negative and recessive, progressively degrading the immunity of a place like Europe. And you have to ask yourself, why? Why is this Juncker, all his mates, what's their motivation to destroy Europe? Ask yourself that. This is not about building, creating a great Europe. This is about destroying Europe as it is, as the people or the European people know that they've got this. We go there, it's a fantastic, all these sophisticated cities. But why are they destroying them? By masses of immigration that will not be employed, will descend into crime after a generation, will breed up lots and lots of them, to compete for jobs that are not there because of AI and robots. And we all know this. Most of the common people in the world are aware of this. And so therefore, the people must question the motives of the people of the EU to destroy Europe. It's destroying Europe. The people aren't. The people are starting to question the mentality. It's deranged. To destroy your own lands and your own country. What, is there an escape plan here? They're going to destroy Europe and go to somewhere else, and they've got some fabulous cities developing in the middle of ages somewhere they can all escape to and live in luxury in this wonderful place from there and rule the world from some central place no one can get to. Is that what their idea is? Because what's going on by destroying Paris, in which what they're doing, and other places in Europe. But I use Paris as a particular example here, because the epitome of wonderful cities. It's the epitome of sophistication. It's supposed to be. We know there's ups and downs in all cities, but to degrade it with immigration that is not being adapted and inculcated and adapted to live within that environment, and that takes a generation or two. They should do that beforehand. You can't just let all uninvited people into your country, because without any rules and regulations over them, but you've got rules and regulations over the people in your own country governing how you address this situation. That is an attack by the EU on the European peoples. They make no bones about this. This EU is into destroying Europe. Its whole attitude is about retribution and revenge for whatever is on its mind. It needs to have retribution and revenge for. That I will leave to the observer to think about what that means. But that's how I put it, and I observe it now. There's something deeply suspicious about this EU, that it's destroying a place like Paris. It doesn't like French people. That's it. Number one, you say, well, the EU, whoever they are, maybe I don't know who's there, I don't know, I've never checked the identity of them, they don't like the French. That's all I can say. I thought the British and the French had a bit of a thing going for them, but I think the British and French people ought to say, hang on a minute, we've got more in common. We've had a lot of wars, but we've got more in common than these other people in Central Europe, and maybe and even the Italians have got more in common in certain ways than the people in the more central part of Europe in certain ways got more in common. I think people of Europe need to think about what's really going on here. My name's Graham, concerned about the madness that the EU is, and I mean the EU government itself, I mean the EU bureaucracy. They're deranged. They cannot be sane. You cannot say they're sane and when you're destroying a place. That's not sanity, that's a madness.